In this video, I'm going to show you how to replace the radiator on this Ford Excursion. Let's get started. At the bottom of the radiator, you'll see the petcock right here. It's got a 19mm plug. You can use a socket or a wrench on it, or even some pliers if that's what you have, and break it free. Make sure you have a collection bucket underneath ready to catch the fluid. Once you break it free, you should be able to remove this by hand. Don't pull it out all the way, just enough for the coolant to start draining, and we'll let this drain. If you pull it out all the way, it'll actually start shooting straight out the back, and you want to avoid that. To help the coolant drain faster, remove the cap off of the overflow. That'll relieve any vacuum that is being pulled by the coolant draining and let the air go in. Let's just wait for it to drain now. Now that this is done draining, let's close it off, bottom it out by hand, and when you tighten it up with your wrench, just give it a quick snug, about 1/8 of a turn after it bottoms out. That's all you need. This is just a plastic plug and you don't want to break it. Let's remove the 3 8mm fasteners holding this coolant tank onto the vehicle. There's one right over here at the top and 2 on the side. By the way, the battery does not have to be removed for this job. Just reach down in with an extension and an 8mm socket. Make sure the socket goes on the bolt nice and well. Sometimes these rust out a little bit. Set that aside. Remove the last one. There we go. Lift this tank up and pull it out of the way. There are 2 8mm bolts holding the shroud onto the radiator. Let's remove them. One is right over here. And one is on the other side. Lift the shroud up just a little bit to unhook it from the bottom and push it back. That's all we need. Remove the clamp off the upper radiator hose. Pull it further back and let's wiggle this hose off of here. I'll break it free. Slide it off. All right, we're just gonna push it out of the way. At the bottom of the radiator, let's remove the 2 radiator hoses down here. Take some pliers, pinch the clamps, and pull them back so we can remove them. Make sure you have a collection bucket underneath to catch the fluid that is still in the hose. If your clamp is stuck to the hose, just remove them both at the same time. There we go. And remove the other hose. Let's remove this cover that's at the top. It's supposed to have 4 push clips. Mine only has 2 left, so just pop them out with the trim tool. And then go along, remove all of them that you still have. With all of them removed, you'll be able to remove this cover. Let's remove the radiator brackets that hold it in at the top. 2 8mm bolts on the one that's on the driver's side. Remove the bracket. And on the other side, you'll have a larger bracket with 3 8mm headed bolts. Remove this one as well. If when you remove either of the brackets, the rubber bushing doesn't come with it, remove it from the radiator. Let's remove the hose that goes to the overflow tank or the coolant expansion tank from the top of the radiator. Pull the clamp and remove the hose. There we go. Let's remove the radiator straight up now. Just keep in mind the shroud may get caught onto it, so you might have to pause and then reach down there, push it out of the way as you keep lifting. There it is. Let's install the new radiator. Careful of your radiator fins, and of course any other fittings that are on it. Slide it down into position. Make sure that shroud clears. And at the bottom, it's going to have pins that look like this. They just have to line up with rubber bushings that look, well, basically like what we removed from the top. And once that drops in, you know it's seated. All right, that's in. Let's get the brackets reinstalled on the top, line up the rubber piece, and then put the bolts back in. Hold the bracket in place as you tighten this up. Make sure you snug these down. On the passenger side of the radiator, reinstall the hose that goes up to the expansion tank, and we'll put the clamp back on. There we go. Now we can put on our mounting bracket up here. And line up all of the bolts. Start them in. Snug them all up. Now let's make sure the shroud is seated on the bottom of the radiator, right about here and here, but on the bottom it's going to have two pins that go down, and there's brackets that look like this at the top but at the bottom, and just make sure that the shroud is seated, like I said. Then at the top we're going to have to hook in the two new J-nuts provided with the radiator, so we can actually screw the shroud in and secure it. Bring this close, and let's bolt it on. Snug these up. Put the top radiator hose back in. Make sure it's fully seated on the radiator. There we go. And of course, put the clamp back over it to lock it in. Right there. Bring the coolant reservoir back over, put the bolts back in. This one at the top here was slightly shorter than the other two that go down there. I'm going to snug this down. When you tighten it, make sure you don't over tighten it. You don't want to crush that plastic tab. On the other side, let's install the two mounting bolts, holding it on to the bottom. Reinstall this shield at the top and put in any of the push clips that you still had left. Let's reinstall the two lower radiator hoses. Make sure they're both fully bottomed out on that radiator. Once they are, get the clamps back in position. All right, there we go. The new radiator has the optional transmission cooler line fittings on it. If you don't have these already on your vehicle, don't worry about them. You don't have to plug anything into here. This is a completely separate system from the coolant that flows through the radiator. Always double check the new radiator to make sure the drain is fully tightened. It's time to fill the cooling system, so we're going to fill it up through the tank. Now, what you want to do is refer to your owner's manual to find out the appropriate type of coolant that your vehicle needs, and then you're going to want to fill it and continue until not only does it reach the max line, but it stops bubbling through the tank. That means most of the air is naturally purged out of the system. At that point, you're going to want to start the engine, let it run, and the water pump will circulate the coolant, pushing out all the air and pulling in all the coolant. The level will drop, so add as needed. Also have the heat on the highest heat setting, but with the blower on low. If your vehicle has rear HVAC as well, do the same over there so you can feel the heat through the heater core, because if you have no heat, most likely you have air in the heater core, so it still needs to be bled. If you feel heat, once the engine reaches operating temperature, you're good to go. Shut it down, let it cool off, top it off if needed, and then take it for a road test. With everything done, tighten up the cap, and there you have it.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.